user open the path designer of this form, will navigate using this app routine. For example, let me show local constant 10. As you can see here, when I open my server, go directly to the designer. When I open the URL, is open the designer. You go to the app root, that is the principal root, or is enter the designer, and in the designer the user can navigate using the principal module. So the control in the routine for the menu module. For example, if I open this in this router, I can open the login, I can open the home. In the home, I can open the connection, projects, and it is the navigator for this routing. If you see, the path is empty because this indicates that the path at the moment will come from the app module. This routing comes from the path of the principal module that is designed. So when the user write designer in the root, he write designer here. If you see, I write designer, only designer, and click enter, go directly to the home. Why go to the home? Is because you can see here, I write designer, the control pass to the routing or the menu principal, because I write designer, go to the menu principal, and in the menu principal the default path is login, but if the user is logged, go to directly to the home, and in the home I can navigate. The home has two children, for example connection and project. If the user click, for example, connection, you can hear designer home connection. If I open projects, the URL is designer home and projects, because this is the root. So if I return,
Sir, can you show you how can you use Knative? Yeah, you are using Knative or guards. So can you describe some? Go on in your routing.
the lazy loading is here in the principal.
Yes.
The principal module. For example, the app module
No. Go on MDM menu. In menu mode, routing module.
Okay, here.
Routing module. Routing module.
Okay,
In menu.
this.
Yeah, you can use can activate
Yes.
So can you explain?
Okay. The first that you have, the first that you need to know is in the principal module, in the principal routing. This is the principal routing for your application. In the principal routing, as you can see here, I use for root. I pass my cons, that is here, but on this part I use for root. But if you open the routing of each module, I use the for child. I can put here for root. I can do this because you have only one for root. The principal root is for root, but in the other module that you add to your application, you need here use for child root. So the cons in the principal routing don't have components. These have only the name of the path and load children, and you specify here the routing module for this path. For example, when the user write designer in the navigator, will load this module. The module is, for my case, the module menu principal. When the user write dashboard, here will be load the children module dashboard. And then when this module is open, for example, iGroid Designer will be open the routing for this module. In this routing module, you use for child root because come from for root. When the root arrive here, come the designer word. This is like here designer. Well, so in this routine, you define the children for that root, the children for this root, and the children here are login and home, and the home have two children. So when the user write home, can go to the connection and can go to the project, as you can see here, home and projects, or maybe connection. This is the root because connection and projects are children of home, are children, and home is children for designer. Okay, the designer is in the principal routine. So if I write dashboard instead of designer, for example, I change to this dashboard and enter, go to the dashboard routing because I invoke here the dashboard and this path.
Your screen is not visible. No, Sapna. It is visible. Please check your network connection. Yeah, continue.
Your area network problem.
Okay, continue. When
Yeah,
the
continue.
user
Yes, sir. Continue.
when the user write dashboard at this point for the principal routine, will load the children for that route. In this case, is the module dashboard that is in this module, and this module has their own routing, and this routing has only one children path. Okay, that is called dash. As you can see here, dashboard, and open the only path is dash, and display here this component. I don't have anything else, or I don't have another component here, only this path. So when the user write only dashboard, for example here I write dashboard, click enter, the control pass to the children or the dashboard module routing that is in this module, and in this module I have an routine, and this routine comes from the principal root and have one children, in this case is dash, and when the user don't write anything, will catch from here and redirect to the dash, will open this by default. When the user don't write anything here and click enter, will be enter from here because they are not anything URL redirect to the dash, and this dash will open this component, and this component is it that you see in my screen. This is the principal component. So if the user write, for example, designer, will load the children for that designer. In this case is the module principal, so will be open the module or the menu principal and load this routing. And if the user don't write anything here, the routing for this module say that when the user don't write anything, will be redirect to the login, and the login is I open the login.
Sir.
Yes. Then
Sir, one more question. What is can activate?
can activate is for to verify if the user is logging into your system. See, if the user is don't login, he don't go to page directly. For example, if I write this I am logging in my system right now. If I write this, for example, home / project, I can open this because I am login. If I copy this and go to another tab and page, I can open this directly. But if log out and then I open a new tab and paste the URL and enter, the system detects that the user is not logging and redirect to the login component. He don't go to the option directly because all the module or all the components have the can activate. If you see in my routing, for example, the principal routing, all the components, for example, connection, have the can activate, and this can activate called the service. This is a service that verify if the user is logging, and if the user is not logging, will be redirected to the login
Sir, can
component.
you open the authenticated router service? Can you open? Can you open guard service?
Ah, mm, this service.
Yes, this service.
Okay. I go to here. This is an authorized guard. Is an guard have an can activate function. I injected here the router and the server login. This is a service that I made for the login. If you see here in the principal, I have a component login. This login have the component that is this is the component, and have the authorized guard that is this service, and have a service login. This service is to call the API. When the user enter the username and the password and click here in this button, is called to my API to verify if is a correct user or is an authorized user. Okay, in the guard I have a function that is called can activate, and in this part I only verify through the my service login if the user is authenticated. If the user is authenticated, the can activate return true. In otherwise return false. And first return to login. So when the user wants to open directly your component through the URL, will call the can activate. Can activate verify if the user is logged. If the user is logged, will return true, and so the component will be open. Otherwise, the first, if the user is not logged, the can activate will redirect to the login and then return false. It's only that is here. So in my login service, I have a function that is called is authenticate. This function only verify if the user is the current user is different of null. And what is get current user? When the user click this button, the user is saved in a variable in the storage. For example, I write Edgar. I don't remember the password here. And the get current user is a function that the function return the current user, and the current user as you can see here will be saved in the local storage with the name ESW user and stringify user. When the user click the login button, the service will save in the local storage. Load save set current user. As you can see here, I call the server local storage and save the user. Okay. Then the authorized guard in the function can activate call the is authenticated function, and if this is true, means that the user is logged in your system and will return true. Then in your routing can activate will return true or false. If they can activate return true, then the user can open your component. So in this I have, for example, in the other module in the routing, I have this. I have the can activate too.